Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to talk about acrylic gouache. I'm used to use gouache, but I actually have some acrylic gouache because I wanted to try it, and I also wanted to have something a bit different than gouache, but that looks like acrylic for many reasons, and I'm gonna talk about them. I'm gonna also talk about the differences between acrylic gouache and gouache, but also acrylic gouache and acrylics. So basically I'm gonna explain you how to use acrylic gouache if you want to try it, if you have never tried it before. It's very interesting. I still love gouache, and I think gouache is still my favorite medium, but sometimes it's interesting to also use acrylic gouache and to use them together. So the first thing I would say that I love about acrylic gouache is that it's matte like gouache, and I really love that. I think the main reason that I don't really use a lot of acrylic and use acrylics often is that acrylic is not matte, it's shiny, and I don't really like to have this shiny type of effect all the time, and I like to control where I want more shine, or I like to have something very little shiny but not too shiny. Yeah, I just love matte results. I usually still spray like varnish a little bit my paintings just to protect them. I don't use very shiny varnish, and yeah, I try to keep that because I really love that, and also because I usually also use acrylics for gold and silver touches, and I usually use golden paint or silver paint to do that, and it's a lot easier to find them in acrylics than in gouache. Usually when you use acrylics you can use very little water and get something very opaque, even get textures like have multiple layers and get something almost 3D, 3 dimensions, and you cannot do that with gouache. Usually the result is pretty flat, you don't have texture, and if you don't use enough water, gouache can crack. You don't have the cracking problem with acrylic gouache because it's almost like acrylic, so you can do multiple layers and the first layer is not reactivable. Like, you cannot really reactivate the paint. If you use a lot of water, you will still have a bit of paint on your brush, but usually if you use it right, when the first layer is dry, it's almost like acrylic. So that's very interesting, especially to do the backgrounds, because if you know what you're going to do, you don't usually need to blend the next colors with the background, and you want something that is fixed and that won't smudge and budge. So I usually like to do that. Or if I want to use more paint and have something very opaque, so that I don't need a lot of water and so I won't get the cracking problem, I usually also use acrylic gouache. So acrylic gouache is matte and it's almost like acrylics, but you can actually really use it like gouache and even watercolor if you use more water. So when you work with it, you can blend it pretty easily. You still need to use water, but it's very easy to blend, very easy to work with, and I would say that most of the time when I use acrylic gouache, it feels like I'm using gouache. So I love that because I love the way you can use gouache. I've already done multiple videos about gouache. If you want to watch them, I will put them in the description box. The thing that bothers me a little bit is that when it dries, it dries. You cannot really reactivate the paint. I think I'm so used to use gouache like that I actually love to be able to reactivate the paint and change what I just did if I want to change it, and not just add more layers on top of what I did. It's something that I really enjoy about gouache, and that I cannot do with acrylic gouache unless I use a lot of water, and it usually creates a mess. So that's not something I would recommend at all. If you want to hide what you just did, add more opacity, more layers, and yeah, add new things. Not try to blend it with what you just did. When I bought it and when I tried it the first time, I thought I would love it more than gouache, but yeah, just the fact that you cannot reactivate the paint is sometimes a plus but sometimes is not for me, and I don't like that. It's still interesting to have the very watercolor like transparent effect and also have something very much like acrylic and very opaque, very dense if you want, but not shiny. The other thing that is very interesting with acrylic gouache is that usually the paint doesn't change in terms of color when it dries. So that's something very cool and very good about acrylic gouache, because sometimes it's very confusing when you use gouache and that you see that the color changes. Of course, it depends on the brand and the type of gouache you're using, but it's usually not the exact same color when it dries, so that's sometimes even annoying, but you don't have this issue with acrylic gouache, so that's something good. And you can get very vibrant colors. For example, I bought this recently and this is amazing. Like, this is very bright. Even this one a little bit less, but they are very crazy in terms of color, and that's not something you can easily find in gouache. And I'm pretty sure you can also find gold and silver paint in acrylic gouache much more easily than in gouache. So I feel like there are more colors available in acrylic gouache. So even if you don't want to use acrylic gouache all the time, you can just buy some unique colors like this and do something a bit different and interesting. The first acrylic gouache I bought is this one, and yeah, it's just a set of color. I think this brand is really good. I just really usually like to choose my colors, but this brand is not available here in Paris and in France. I mean, it's not easy to find, so yeah, I couldn't do that. But I usually really like to choose my colors, so I don't like all of the colors here, which is a bummer, I would say. It's still nice to start, and I can do a lot of mixing to get what I like, but just it's not the easiest what I like the best to do. But you still have a lot of colors and you can play with it and have fun, try it, mix the colors and get a lot of colors. There are a lot of colors available in this brand if you live in America or if you live in Asia. Actually, in Europe this brand is not very accessible, like it's not very easy to find yet. I hope they will be available soon, more easily. That would be nice. But you can still find other brands like Liquitex, pretty good too, either by kits or by single shades, single colors. And I think that's it for this video. Let me know what you think of it in the comments, if it was useful, and if you would like to try acrylic gouache, and if you have tried acrylic gouache before, let me know what you think of it. Also, if you have some tips to share, that would be very interesting and useful for me and other people, so please leave your comments below. Like and subscribe if you want to keep watching my videos, and I hope to see you soon in my next one. Bye!